Highly gifted, my jacket's thrifted. Watch me get a pattern shifted, just acting different. Living in my minutes, I'm catalytic. That's why they love to jack the style like it's on a Civic.
I mean, who says distance learning has to be lonely? Welcome to episode 14. If you haven't watched episode 13, then stop this and go back to episode 13. This is like a continuation on the conversation. It's really good to get how we support you academically, and then we're going to speak about this community-centric approach. If you have watched episode 13, hello, welcome back. Good to have you here. Welcome to a conversation around creating a supportive network.
Again, you're not in a classroom environment,
Sure.
where you'll access the educator,
Sure.
or the head of department regularly, or there'll be other interactions through study groups. So the sample assessments and memoranda does three critical things. The first is it allows you transparency into what the assessments will look like.
Right.
And i.e., what is the demand
Sure.
being placed of me,
Sure.
being placed upon me for this module. So you can see the rigor of the questions, and you can see the memorandums of where were grades allocated and not as model responses. So that also alleviates tension and stress associated with assessment, that because it's generally unknown. You generally are just told it's an exam.
Sure.
You're told it will be an assignment, and the day before we'll hand you the assignment.
And I have no idea what the modality is, what it looks like.
And the demands in it, and
Sure.
and when they ask a question a certain way and they say it's 5 marks, how did they arrive at 5 marks? There's a model answer for how we arrived at 5 in this frame of reference.
Brilliant.
When we frame it differently, we say 20 marks, that's what the model answer looked like, that's where the mark allocations are given. So that transparency also takes that tension, it takes the tension and stress associated with this unknown out of the equation.
Sure.
The other part it does, if you're a student with rigor, you'll set the sample memo aside and you'll do the exercise with the sample assessment and then grade yourself.
Sure. Because
that then also helps you to determine
Sure.
what have you commanded and what have you not commanded.
Yeah.
So it also serves that preparatory phase in learning.
Right.
That you can do you can mimic the environment. If it's an open assignment, whether it's a project, whether it's a closed book exam or a short test, those samples are given that you can mimic. You can mimic it out yourself, and
Right.
And then you can also raise the flag. So you can self-diagnose then through that grid and go look, re-watch the videos, reread the sections, because the assessments also indicate which learning outcomes do those questions belong to. And in the roadmap journey, all the learning outcomes per week is also defined for you.
Right.
So you can map it back to say exactly where it isn't you're doing well. And if you can't do that by yourself, you can reach out to a student advisor to connect you to an educator, or you can connect to the educator directly to assist you.
Fantastic.
So it serves multiple. That course outline serves multiple. So it indicates the prescribed courseware, the additional reading, the library routes, the sources, all the learning outcomes, the sample assessments. So it sets all of that in motion. In addition to that, it also shows the calendar.
Right.
So it shows the calendar for each week. It shows the calendar for the assessments. When will the assessments be due? And you receive the sample format of them, as we discussed. But all those dates are given, and the dates for attending to any other needs, i.e. if you have a deferral, when would be those cutoff dates? When would be a late submission date? I know nobody ever uses late dates. Everyone's always on time.
And no subs either.
No subs.
100%.
So it provides also the appeal dates for grades that are released. It allows you to see the dates that we will release results and make elements in the process available. So it is the roadmap in a nutshell.
Sure.
And it's also set up in a repetitive style.
Right.
So that if you're enrolled for 2 modules or 3 modules, that style is mimicked across. So that
You don't have to figure out a whole new style every time there's a new
Yes.
module and a new educator.
and a randomness, that everything is now random. And again, that randomness does not come from ill-disciplined education. In the contact environment, it's different. You're full-time, you're all on campus here. Each educator will drive their calendar, and we know you must come to class, and we will tell you then what will happen. The journey is different. Knowing you're somewhat by yourself, we need to make this information sets available and make it as repetitive as possible so that you don't feel like that you have to jump through additional hoops every time you're in a different module. The sequencing is all different, volume and rate is different, timetables is just different.
I'm getting anxiety just thinking about that.
So,
You know what I mean?
so that we're routine, routine that you can be routine. And if you fall behind, we can figure when routine and how to catch up.
So I want to sort of wrap up this part of the conversation by just saying that I think everything that we've spoken about leads me to a sense of, I mean, I use the word anxiety, but we speak about being future ready, right? And everything that you've heard us speak about today should show you that as long as you're committed to putting in the time, everything's there for you in a very logical, very systematic manner that helps guide you through these things. Because I think for me, coming from traditional contact school learning, it's a little bit of scariness about the unknown, you know, and the way, however, you have sort of summarized what it is. I'm hoping to some extent that you, having watched this, will begin to see that the process is seamless in that sense. It's well put together. It's really, as long as you put the time in and the effort in, this thing works, and it works well, you know. And so the anxiety of moving into a space where my whole school career I had an educator. I had an educator in front of me that were in the classroom, and now all of a sudden I'm stepping into this world. This world is a world that's well looked after, well curated, and there for you to succeed. And I'm hoping during this process you've picked that up.
So in the next episode, I'm laughing because I'm trying to get you to watch episode 15. And so one thing I don't want to do is say, we're going to just talk about assessments, because the interesting thing about assessments is that they actually can work in your favor. Episode 15, we're going to demystify the assessment process, and we're actually going to show you how it is such an important part of your education. And if you step into them with this mindset, that it's going to move me forward, that it's going to help me become the person that I'm aiming to become, just tune in and we'll try to convince you then.